All right, Chapter 4, Related Devices. Chapter 4, Related Devices. Learning objectives. On completion of the chapter, you should be able to compare the standard synchro with the system connection with the IC synchro connection with the discover. 2. Describe the operation of the SEP transmitter with the receiver, the list of the and the disadvantage of the SEP transmission system. 3. Compare the construction operation with the result of those transformers. Describe the solution with the results, resolution, compromise of the problem. The result of the device that logically should be included with the module of the integrated circuit, the synchro of the step of the move, the resolver, so the electromagnetic device with the various simple with the aircraft application, that can be considered the second cousin of the synchro. Integrated circuit synchro. The engine order, the telegraph, the steering telegraph, the motor with the angle of the indicator with a similar position for the indicating shift of the naval ship, the usually simple the synchro system, some of the ship the out with the integrated circuit with the synchros. Transfer such information for these units to operate. Some of the general principles of synchros we'll discuss in chapter 1. The interior communication, interior communication synchros or interior communications gradually synchros are gradually phased out and replaced by standard synchros. Replaced with everything is required. I'm sorry about that. It was the interior communication synchros. However, you'll see that interior communication synchros is new today with the reach for the full find the background information on purpose of therefore the beneficial will present the synchros in the very first form of the following paragraph. We cover the construction of the interior communication synchros, sometimes called the reverse synchro, the primary winding with the consist of the two series connect the coils mounted physical or unstable. The secondary connects with the three wide connecting coil with the mounted physically on the rotor. The shown is schematically and shown figure 4.1. 4.1, your interior communication synchro schematic diagram. Stator 1 and stator 2 on the outside, rotor 1, 2, and 3 on the inside. AC supply. Interior communication synchro. They operate with the same principle. They interact with the magnetic field of the others synchro with the difficult direction of shaft rotating amount with a torque obtainable with the interior communication transmitter, the interior communication receiver, the connect with the parallel shown view A with the figure 4.2 with the shaft with the interior communication service communication receiver, the valve with the rotation, the intercommunication transmitter shaft of the UB with the intercommunications transmitter, the replay with the synchro transmitter, the interior communications receiver, the shell turn with the direction opposite with the synchro transmitter, the voltage with the counterclockwise rotation with the standard synchro with the shaft, the clock rotation, the intercommunication synchro shaft with desirable the interior communication synchro receiver, the turn with the opposite direction from that of the transmitter, the connections shown with the UC with the standard V synchro receiver, the valve with the rotation of the interior communication transmitter with the connections that must be made in shown view D. Alright, Stator 1 and Stator 2, rotor 1, 1, 2, 3, and Stator 1 and Stator 2. Intercommunication transmitter, intercommunication receiver. 4.2b, intercommunications versus standard synchronizing connection. Synchronizing transmitter to the rotor 1, 2 circuits. Outside circuit rotor 1, standard Stator 1, rotor 1. Or should I say synchronizing transmitter, stator 1, 2, 3 to the rotor 1, 2, and 3. Your next one would be rotor 2 and 3 synchronizing, and then rotor synchronizing rotor 1 and stator 1. Your intercommunication transmitter, stator 1, stator 2. On the outside, rotor 1, rotor 2, rotor 3. Counterclockwise, in clockwise. Communication transmitter D, synchronizing service, same thing. Rotor 1, 2, 3 with the stator 1, 2, and 3 crossed. Rotor stator 1 and stator 2 on the outside of the intercommunication transmitter, and rotor 1 and 2 on synchronizing synchro receiver on the outside. All right, your torque obtainable from either the integrated communication synchro or the standard synchronized determined by the magnetizing power with limited allowable temperature right with the shave of the energy of the intercommunication circuit. Magnetism power can be increased with the resulting lower torque with the result of the before this with the loss of the dissipate with the form of the heat around with the outer shell of the intercommunication transmitter and receiver with the standard synchronized the heat low with the dissipate with the rotor with the air gap with the outer shell with the surrounding air. The electrical zero position of the intercommunication synchro with the position of the rotor coil of the resistor 2 is aligned. Rotor 2 is aligned with the stator shown figure 4.1 with the zero of the intercommunication synchro with applied with the same general theory that is described in other systems, other synchros. Further information on intercommunication synchro replacement alignment in theory with the refer to the military handbook. Synchro the description is order of the military handbook 225A step transmission system. All synchro units discover they operate with the alternating current of the application where the alternating current is not available to need with the system with the direct current of the step of the transmission system, sometimes referred to as step-by-step system, such as the system of gear transmission system, often with the drive can accomplish repeat the naval death of the merchant ship than having DC power. Although many variations are used with a simplified step-by transmission shown with the figure 4-3 with the typical in-system step transmitter, the step mode of the unit together, the transmit angular depth between the remote information remote location, rotated the shaft of the step of the transmitter periodically, switches the DC excitation voltage with one pair of coil and to another the step of the motor, the step of the motor which with the receiver of the system respond with the varying excitation rotating amount with the proportional of the transmitter shaft position. Alright, this shows the step-by-step rotary transmission, rotary switch. And step-by-step motor, soft iron armature. The out wing is on 1, the other wing is on 2, the other one's on 3. Negative is going to the middle switch, and alright, the stator of the step motor with the 6 field coil of the straight for the 60 degrees apart with the coils are connected with each group with the 2 coils with each for the opposite coil with the connected with the shear with the one end with each for the parallel coil with the connected with one with the brush steps transmit the other end with the coil with the connected with the other side of the DC supply voltage with therefore the common lead with the rotor steps that management of the term with the corresponding coil with the step of the motor is energized with the sequence producing with the rotor rotating step by step with the stator field with the motor rotate with the abrupt with the increment with the step further than smoothly. You know, the theory of the step of the step motor with the cylinder with the involved with the position of the biomagnet with this chapter 1, figure 110, with the explanation will play with the step of the transmit with the battery with the discover the operation step motor with the shown the UA. Figure 4-4 apply with the DC battery voltage cover the number of the 1 coil with the armature will determine the position of the shown will apply with the voltage cover the number 2 coil with the armature determine the position midway between the number 1 and number 2 coil with the UB. If we now disconnect number 1 coil with the armature, term the armature lines up with the number 2 with the coil with the UC with the U deep, show with the number 2 and 3 coil with the connect with the armature rotated 1 step further, as long as the process continued. Armature can be rotated with the 360 degrees. Voltage applied with the number 1 coils only. Step-by-step variations of position applied with the number 1 currents only. So voltage applied with the number 2 currents only. Alright, voltage applied with the number 2 coils only. Step-by-step motor voltage applied with the number 2 coils only. Voltage applied with the number 2 and number 3 coils. The actual operation step-by-step of the motor with the driven and the step and transmit of the rotor switch is shown within the figure 4-3 with the switch for the rotate with the apply with the voltage. First with the coil with the insync 1 with the 1 and 2 with together with the coil with the 2 and all coils only 2 with the coil with 2 and the 2 with 3 and coil 3 with so on until the complete revolution is made as a result of the armature turn in 30 degrees step of the valve, the rotation of the rotary switch for the paper. Rotation arm switch can be determined with a mechanical angle between the 0 with the 360 degree to 30 degrees step of the actual angle with which the arm is rotated depending on the specifically detailed data transmitted by the system. The real system may be transmitted the data with greater and lesser step of the 30 degrees depending on the system design. An important point of this type of the system is cover the armature with the soft iron either end with the armature with the main term with the line up with the energizer coil with the registry with the hand reset with the control and then drive with the down step with the mode with the permits the operator to align the receiver with the transmitter each time the power supply is energized. Step transmission system and is not self-synchronizing and its limited number of steps that does not permit also data smoothly with a relatively small chain of the data that require the type of the transmission system is cheap, rugged, and relatively powerful. Resolve of the last device will discuss the result of the physically resolve of the similar of the synchronized growth of the physical performed mathematical communications electronically and computation electronically the rotary electronic device of the provide output the trigonometric function of the other inputs as you may know. Branch of the mathematics deal with the quantity of the angle of the right of the triangle of the of the trigonometry and the angle of the trig of the blade can be solved with the paper depends for the console of the applying with the proper electrical mechanical quantities of the result of the band with the given an instantaneous solution out of the more input quantity of the change and continuously resolvers are classified according to the side of the diameter same with the man with the same synchronized with the may mount with the most standard synchronizing mounting hardware cutaway view with the resolver shown in figure 4 or 5. Rotor shaft stator coil, resolver rotor calibrator resistor, rotor springs, resolver terminal. Note that the state of resolve of the cylindrical structure of the slot eliminations only the tube of the coil of the realm of the rotor is composed of the shaft eliminations two winding with the four slip links compensate for the communications components which improve the angular accuracy of the resolve of the main consist of the resistor actual winding with the shaded rotary winding circle with the compensator winding will increase the accuracy of the resolver located with the shape of the compensating calibrating resistor, which is the compensator of the voltage with the inaccuracy shape. The shape of the may be mounted either inside and outside of the resolver housing. The cylindrical frame with the standard amount of flange house with the result of the external internal connector can be made with the insulated with the thermal board on the rear house with the miniature with the result of the lead wire with the rear with the result of the eliminated need for the terminal block reference line with described on the face of the housing alignment with a similar line end of the rotor shaft that even determine the course of the electrical zero. Basically, the result of there is a transformer in which the secondary windings can be rotated with respect of the primary windings. Consequently, the amount of magnetic coupling between the primary and the secondary variable is the most common form result of the consist of the stator and rotor, each of them having the two separate windings placed precisely right angles to each other in shown figure 4-6. Resolver stator coil, stator 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 3, 2, and 4 rotor coils, 3 and 1, 3, 2, and 4 rotor coils, mechanical input. Since the two stator wiring with the physical electrical right angle to each other, there is no magnetic coupling between them. Stator wiring with the mount with the result of the housing eighth is stationary with the respect similar to the rotary wiring with the result of the mount with the right angle to each other. That there is no magnetic coupling between the two wiring with the rotary wiring with the mount with the rotor shaft with the rotor is capable of the unlimited rotate with the rotor wiring that can be set with the angle with respect with the stator wiring with the cover the 90-degree physical with electrical relationship with the result of the ability to separate the quantity with the two right angle with the component of the called with resolution. Figure 4-7 illustrates the use of the result of the solve of the resolution problem. Assume with the voltage of the E with the angle of the R with the reps of the magnitude, the direction of the known quantity, but determine the two right angle of the component with the quantity with E with the magnitude over the quantity. One stator coil with the physically turn the rotor through the angle R with the input of the voltage E with the induced for the voltage E voltage 1 voltage 2 with the two rotor coil with this value with the rotor voltage represents the vertical horizontal component with the known quantity with the dependent on both the voltage E input voltage with the angle R through the rotor was turned. So for the stator coil input with the known quantity with the horizontal component, vertical component, rotor coil output with the rotor coil output, voltage 1, voltage 2. Similarly, the resolver has the ability to add the vector with the right angle with each other, the retrieve with the resonant vector with the hypotenuse with the resonant angle. This is called composition. Figure 4-8 illustration even the result of the solve of the composition problem. Assume that we have the two quantum with the vertical horizontal component that represent with the voltage 1, voltage 2, respectively. Each of these fed with the stator coil with the 2 volts with the induced the voltage total in 1 over the rotor coil, the voltage T total and represent with the proportional to the hypotenuse with the voltage induced to the rotor coil with the closed loop servo, which position the rotor shaft in the original direction of the hypotenuse. So for the rotor coil output with the unknown quantity, the vertical known and horizontal known stator coil input, the stator coil input, voltage 1 and voltage 2, horizontal known, vertical known, unknown quantity, rotor coil output. Other mathematical solutions are possible. The designer and apply with the result of the equipment typical with the involved with the problem associated with the result of the involved with the distance, speed, with the angular quantities, and etc. In most cases, the figure 4-7-4-8 on the result of the coil of the actively use to solve the particular problem as shown figure in the schematic. Resolver can also perform the third function combination. The product of the resolution composition with taken play for the simultaneous with the result of the precision component of the electrical character with the critical and any deviation may result of the excessive error of the serial system because of the working with the replacing result of the usually should check with the associated equipment the technical manual. Alright, chapter 4, summary.